So I'm going to show you how to draw up a plan for your chopping board slash breadboard so that we can then convert it to appropriate file format, send it to VCard Pro and use that to cut out your chopping board breadboard. First thing you need to know is what size the blank timber you're going to have once you've glued up all your pieces together, what size it would be. So you may very well need to measure that. However, if you've divided your material by 3, yours is probably going to be 500 by 180. If you divide by 4, it'll be 350 by 240. If you divide by 5, it'll be 300 by 300. Obviously, the exception to that will be the 2 girls have got round ones, and they'll need to work out an average circle size. So we start off. I'm going to draw one up on the basis that you've cut your length into 4 sections, and it's going to be 300 by 240. So when you're drawing with Sketchup, the best thing to do is to start at the origin. So we're going to start with a rectangle at the origin. Press R for rectangle, go to the origin, click and drag, and then type in the numbers 350, 300. Sorry, not 300, 240. Enter. And it's quite small, so Shift Z will zoom out to the full extent. Now it's going to be easy to draw if we're looking down from the top. So you'll notice I've got my standard views along the top here. If you haven't got them there, you can get them by going View, Customize Toolbar, and dragging them up and placing them on the toolbar there. Also notice that not only do they have icons, but they have text underneath. And you make sure that that's the case by going down the bottom where it says Show, and make sure the icons and text is selected. Once you've got them up there, close. And now we can just simply use the top view to have a look down on the top. Now that's the size of our material. If we try and match the cutout to exactly the size of the material, we run the risk that it may run outside of the material and not cleanly in size onto the material when we're cutting out. So we're going to come in, and we're going to use this tool here, which is called the offset tool, and we're going to come in 5 millimeters. So we click on the edge there with the red, come in and type in the number 5. So that's the size that we're going to draw. We don't need this one here anymore, so we can click on that, shift click, shift click, shift click, and shift click, and we can delete that. We're now left with something which is basically 10 mils shorter in both directions from the size of the material. This will be the extremities of my chopping board, but you may choose to have a different shape if you wish. So I want to round my corners, so I'm going to create some guidelines, T for tape measure, and I'm going to make these guidelines from that edge coming in 40 millimeters. Sorry, from the top edge again, 40 millimeters. You do that by just simply clicking on the edge, drag, and then typing number 40 millimeters. And again, click, drag, 40, enter. And what I'm going to use is that's the center for a circle, which I'm going to describe along there actually. In fact, I'm going to use an arc tool. I'm going to use this arc tool, which is called the center arc tool. So I'm going to click on this intersection of 2 guide lines, the intersection from there, and then bring it round to there. Do the same down the bottom here. Escape, click once, twice, 3 times. Go with this corner, click once, twice, 3 times. Again, click once, twice, 3 times. Now, in doing it that way, I've ensured that all of these arcs are the same size and they all intersect at the 90-degree or tangential point. I don't need these bits around the outside anymore, so I can actually erase those now. I'll just use the eraser tool. Click on that. Click. Now once I lose the line, you'll notice the surface disappears. That little triangular shaped piece is no longer there. All gone. Okay, so that's the basic shape that I want, but I want to create a juice curve. Okay, so that's a groove that's inside from the edge goes around and stops all the juices from carving meat and things like that from spilling off the chopping board onto the bench top. Not a good idea. So we're going to create a groove. Now, it's easy for us to just simply use the follow me tool, so the offset tool. Click on the offset tool, click on here, come in. We want to come in a reasonable amount, okay? So we might make that 20 millimeters, okay? And I'm also going to create a cutout based on a circle from this point here, so that I can put a hole in there and my finger to help hold onto the chopping board. So I'm going to use a circle tool, and I'm going to click on there to there and so on. Now, if the groove comes around here, it'll interfere with this hole. So I'm going to create another circle, and I'm going to make that 40 millimeters, so that I can create a line across here and a line across here. That means that arc will actually go around the hole. So we don't need these bits here. We're going to delete that. Don't need that bit there anymore. Or that one there. There's an extra bit on there that I don't need. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so it's segmented, but that's all right. So we got rid of that. Now, the way this curve folds back on itself, I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the line tool just to draw a line from there, parallel to the green axis to there, one from there, parallel to the red axis there, and just erase those little bits. And you'll notice that that now is straight across. It's a right angle. It just looks a little bit better as far as I'm concerned. Okay, and so what I've done now, I've got an outline that I can engrave into the blank piece of timber to help me cut out the actual job later on, and I've got a grooved file on the inside for the CNC router to cut into and create a juice curve. And I'm done. Now, all I need to do now is get rid of the guide line, so I can do that by going up here and delete those two guides. And before I export this into a DXF file, which is what VCarve Pro wants, I need to remove the surfaces in here, because I only want the lines, I only want the vectors. So I just click on that, I can go delete, click on that, delete. So all I've got now is vectors, and I'm going to zoom in to fill up the screen. Now, one of the things about exporting vectors is it only works properly if your camera is in parallel projection. If it's in perspective, it will distort the final vector drawing. So we need to make sure that camera parallel projection is selected. Once you've done that, you just need to go up here and go File, and we're going to export a 2D graphic. This comes up. We need to make sure that we've selected down the bottom here where it says DFX options, making sure that we've selected, okay, drawing scale, want full scale, that looks right, DFX extension, and we're going to call this chopping board. Okay, make sure it's DFX and export. And that's okay. All I need to do now is to save this in a place which I can easily access via the other computer, and that is to put on my Google Drive. So I'll go into my Google Drive, and then I'm going to upload that. I go New, I'm going to go Upload File, I saved it on my desktop. Hoping I saved it on my desktop. No, I didn't save it on my desktop. Where did I save it? Let's search for it. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to that again and do that again and see where it's been saved. So I don't want that drawing. Let's go to that one. Go back. That one there. So I went File, Export, 2D Graphic. Okay. Where did it get saved? It was getting saved in the Documents section. Okay. So let's see if we can find it in our Documents section. And Documents. Chopping board, there it is, chopping board DFX. Open. And it's now saved to my Google Drive. Now, I can't open and view that because there's no software in my Google Drive that will view that. But I can download that and put it into VCard Pro and be able to generate a toolpath using that. And that's all we have to do. I'm just going to close it off there now, reduce that. Now, what I'm going to do is go through a couple of more options on what shapes you might want to use. So that works well with the one that's 350 by 250, okay, but not if it's a longer one. So let's start a new file. New. And this time we're going to draw a rectangle that is 500 by 180. Okay, and that one's quite long, elongated. So how might we draw this up? It would not look nice if this actually had a bit of a handle on it. And your handle could be on one side, asymmetrical, or it could be in the center. All right, so I might just actually draw some guidelines on there just to help me work out where the center is. Now that's the center there. We'll zoom in. I just might make a line 20 mils each side of that to create a handle. We don't want to make it too narrow, and the handle doesn't want to be too long. I'll make that maybe 100 millimeters, and we've got the bases there. Now we just got to put some curves on that. All right, it might be useful to come back here, 20 millimeters, and we can draw a circle on the end there, and we could draw an arc here. It's good to have curves in here. It reduces the stress and stops the thing from breaking easily. So we're going to just simply use, we might put a guideline on that. That'll help us see how to put that 20 mils up there. And again out here, 20 mils. And we're going to use this tool here to create an arc. Okay, and we could just simply bring this out straight, or we could do curves on the end here. And if we're going to do curves, we'll just need another line in there, 20 millimeters, and we can draw again an arc. Actually, you've got to do 20 mils this way as well. Draw an arc from there. From there to there. And one from there to there. Now we just got to draw some lines to actually join these all up. Just going to remove some of these out of the road. And there we have a handle on the end. Now, you could have the ends here square, and I actually quite like the look of that. It looks a little bit like maybe a pizza paddle or something like that. Or you could round them, or you could just round one side, and that might look good as well. And it's probably worthwhile having a hole at this end, so we might put a circle in there, not too big. Let's make it like 6 millimeters, so it's 12 mils diameter, 6 mil radius, and I think we're done. We don't need the guides anymore. We just go up here and we're going to delete guides. We're going to select that surface and delete, select that's delete. We've got a shape. Again, we go to the top view, make sure camera is select the parallel, and we go through, well, wait a minute, there's a line there, I might need to delete that. Then we go through the process of actually exporting that as a DFX file. And again, you go File, Export, 2D Graphic. It's a bit slow. And make sure the file format is DFX. Okay, we're going to put in there breadboard. And we're going to call that a DFX file, export to documents, and export. It's been done successfully. We minimize that. And if we go back here, new, file upload, okay, so this is B for breadboard, there it is there, and upload to my Google Drive. Now I can make a choice. And that's it. Close that off. Wrong one. I'm just going to save these now, so file save as. It's always a good idea to save the Sketchup file just in case you want to modify it at a later date. You want to call that one breadboard and save it in my documents folder. Close that. Now I'm going to save this one, save as. And that one's chopping board. Save. Diminish that, and that's it. Best of luck.